Ah, die 50er. Auf der diesjährigen Games Convention in Leipzig durften wir mit Pete Hines, dem Vizepräsidenten von Entwickler Bethesda Softworks, über sein neues Rollenspiel sprechen. Dabei haben wir ihm einige interessante Facts über das postapokalyptische Fallout 3 entlocken können.
My first question is, many players liked Oblivion because of its colorful and organic, typical role-playing world. Do you think that some of them will be scared of because of the wasted and dark setting of Fallout?
I certainly think they both have very different looks. Fallout is much more of a destroyed world, but there is a beauty to it. I mean, you still get these great vistas and just sort of getting to see and experience all the different types of destruction out the world. And we do try and vary visually when you go, for example, from the wasteland into interiors or from the wasteland into downtown DC to vary it enough, whether it's through the lighting, with our full day-night light cycle, or different cloud conditions, that it does sort of look and feel a bit different as you're moving around the world. But I think in general, if folks like that about Oblivion and they like that type of game that kind of go out and explore, that I think they'll find a lot of that to enjoy in Fallout.
My next question is about traveling. So it's a huge game world. How do you get from one point to another? Will there be vehicles?
No, so everywhere you go, you have to travel on foot. So when you start off the game, the only place you know about is Vault 101, the vault that you leave to go out into the world. But beyond that, you travel around foot and you discover all of these locations. And once you discover a location, you can fast travel back to any location you've visited before using a fast travel system. So you don't constantly have to walk back and forth. But there's no rideable creatures. There's no vehicles to drive around. You do have to walk on foot to get everywhere. But the world is really big, but not so huge that it's impossible or daunting. We just want it to take a while, and it gives us a lot of space to put lots of new and cool things for you to find as you're exploring.
Will there be other vaults, or just
other vaults? Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
Oh, cool. And are you planning to use more voice actors than in Oblivion?
A lot more voice actors and a lot more variation. You should find as you're walking around and talking to people that you're constantly hearing new and different voices and not the same person over and over. Part of that is simply because we have a lot fewer people in the world. When you have Oblivion, you've got several thousand. It's impossible to try and give all of them a voice. But in Fallout, we've got this destroyed world, and humanity is struggling to survive. There's far fewer people. It's much easier to give them a lot more variation. So yes, a lot more voice actors, a lot more variation in voices for sure.
And how do you plan to limit the game world? Will you use invisible walls?
Yeah, for the most part, we usually find that people usually go to the edge of the world just to see what happens when they get there. So, we could come up with like fake, terrain or whatever that would keep you from leaving. But most of the time, folks, they get to the edge of the world and they get a little message that says you've reached the edge of the world, turn back, and then they're like, oh, okay, and they move on. So we try not to overthink stuff like that.
My next question is about the graphics. I saw some screenshots where exactly the same car model was placed 3 times one by another. Were these bugs you fixed?
Yeah, there's some places in the world where, even traveling around here, where you sometimes find buildings where, they built a set where it was apartment buildings or wherever, and they were all built in a similar style. It's part of a group of buildings. So we do that, but we also, like to use, it's obviously a destroyed world, so we try and vary the destruction in terms of, what would actually be here. How would this city have been built up first before it got destroyed?
Did you get some inspiration of the Russian shooter Stalker for the setting?
No, not really. It's all based entirely on, all we really kind of need for inspiration is the original Fallout game. Those are the games that we're following in the series. So we, started in 2004 with what do we want this world to look like? How do we bring the world that we saw in Fallout 1 and 2 to a first-person, third-person game in really high level of detail? And so that was really our approach the whole time, and that's what we focused on. And I'm pretty pleased. I think we're all pretty pleased with how the game has come together and how it looks and feels and how it plays.
Do you plan to make more games of the series, maybe Fallout 4?
Absolutely. We went out and acquired the rights to the series so that we owned it and could continue it going forward. If we just wanted to do one and be done with it, then we could have done it any number of ways. But no, we want this to be a series that we come back to and make more games down the road, but way down the road. We want to get this one out first.
Okay. And why did you put in a multiplayer mode?
we just felt like, and have for a long time, that for the kinds of stuff that we do for the Elder Scrolls, certainly has been single player all along, and Fallout itself has been single player. And anytime you add multiplayer or a co-op or any other mode, it's one more thing the team has to focus on and concentrate. And we felt like, the best game that we could make would be making it single player only and focusing in on that, as opposed to, okay, well, now what happens when you're playing with somebody else? How many enemies on the screen? How much detail are we able to put on those? What's the frame rate now? So we said, let's focus on doing this one thing and making it as good as possible.
I played it yesterday and I saw you have some violent scenes in it, so
Absolutely.
heads blowing off. What do you think? Will you have to cut the German version?
That's still to be determined. We actually sort of don't believe in talking publicly about the difference between English and German or Australia or BBFC or whatever it is. That we will make sure that the game is out and available in Germany, but we don't want to get into discussing what changes that we might have to make.
Okay, that was it.
Great. Thank you very much
for your time.
Thank you.
And have a nice day.
Thanks, you too.
How much is that doggy in the window? The one with the waggly tail. How much is that doggy in the window? I do hope that doggy's for sale.